What I was taken away was by a lot of things, was actually a lot, but I was taken away by the um, different head start that the white American couple had as opposed to the African American couple had, because they're studying some individuals and they have different couples. There's one couple that Hey, we're back here today, and I wanted to just jump on real quick. As I'm always brainstorming, and I really wanted to share a quick idea that I had, or a revelation that I had, when it regards to wealth and wealth creation, and the importance of your personal finances, and how, although we think it's kind of repetitive and it's kind of like, oh man, I don't want to hear this. I'm really tired. I want to just enjoy my life. Just some staggering stats for you, and I thought you should know. I was just searching on my Yahoo News, Yahoo Finance, which is what I usually go to for my news, which might not be the best source, but I've been using it for the last 15 years. There was an article, and they were talking about the wealth gap that we have right now. Right? Obviously, we know there's a wealth gap, the ultra rich with the 1%, as they call them, to the normal individuals, and that includes middle class, right? The wealth gap it's gotten bigger, it gets bigger, and sometimes individuals don't think that it has anything to do with race, or that is just based upon hard work, and some individuals are just lazy. These are some of the thoughts that a lot of people have about, if you don't have any wealth, you're just lazy, and obviously that's totally wrong. But yeah, as we know, construction workers, and I work in those trades, laborers work the hardest, yet they get paid the least, right? So think about that, the wealth gap, and it really just wanted me to kind of rethink and I understand like where I'm starting at, and how, how much more wiser, how much more different I have to move, as opposed to maybe the individual that was born into wealth, or is from from obviously a white race, right? And minorities, like myself, Latinos and African Americans, we have to kind of move a little bit more different with our finances, just like anything else. Even when it comes to not only when we're getting frisked and stopped by the police, but also how we invest our money and how we spend our money. Because as we know, quickly we're already starting with a late start to the race. And a delayed start, let's put it that way. So if we don't believe that, and we think that everything's equal, that we're good, and that's great, but the article itself was giving right now a millennial stats of just basically solely on the same professions, same college education for the most part, but the difference in wealth and net worth for the same age group. So they gave an example of how the average African American family, especially millennial family, have about 150K net worth average just among the African American millennials. That is compared to 900,000, 900K net worth average for the white American family. So that is a huge disparity, right? That's almost, oh, not almost, that's almost $1 million more in net worth. Same age, professionals, maybe the same income, not that much off, maybe a little bit because of obviously the race, but they had the same, as I say, same chances, and still in the same country. So a lot of us can bring our points in and understand and figure out, oh, this is why it happened. It could be a lot of ways. It could be a lot of points to it. From my beliefs on that, I think that personally, what I was taken away was by a lot of things, was actually a lot, but I was taken away by the different head start that the white American couple had as opposed to the African American couple had, because in the they're studying some individuals, and they have different couples. There's one couple that not only did they receive $100,000 for their first time home payment, well, down payment for their new home, they also received money over $30,000 for their wedding. So they have all this aid from their obviously wealthy parents. So it's a less of a burden, I think, on the millennials that are starting off their lives, graduating college with college loans. Oh, and they didn't have to pay for the loans. Their college loans were paid for by their parents. And that is a white American couple. Now, the African American couple, I'm assuming they don't, they have to pay for their own student loans. Their parents most likely didn't have enough at that time to take care of the student loans, to give them $100,000 for a down payment for a home. So just eliminating the loans and their home, that's $150K that the white American family were able to help their kids, and the kids could use that $150,000 to invest and save, right? As opposed to the, I would say, African American and minority groups, I can relate as well. Being Latino is, my parents are not gonna pay for my student loans. They that wasn't in their prioritization. And being an immigrant, first generation born, they just came here to work. They didn't know anything about investing. They were just making ends meet and building something for themselves, because they didn't have anything for themselves. So they weren't worried about paying college for us. So that falls on our generation, on paying for our own colleges and using that money to pay off our own college, as opposed to putting that money, let's say, starting at a younger time, investing it for the long run. And as I always say here, everything is time. All of our investments, we can talk about all the rates, all the negatives and pros and cons. But every investment, most of the majority of the time, 99% of the time, you see growth with time. And obviously the magic wonder of the world, compound interest, as we said it. So compound interest helps, because the longer you're in it, the more it's compounding, and that doubles your money with time. So what I really realized was that although we dealt with these cards and we're starting the race delayed, we just have to be a lot smarter on how we move with our finances. And this is why I really wanted to just I took the channel up and I was like, we got to talk about personal finances among the minorities and all the minority groups, all of us together, because we all face the same kind of oppression. Just because your color of skin might not be as darker, you are still a minority. If you're not from, the white Americans family. So, I really want to give a quick story. So, we have tendencies that we grow up in minority neighborhoods that, we like to buy luxury stuff. We like to be flashy. We like to have nice cars. Our homes are decked out. The ones that we're renting. But obviously we know that it's been proven, there's a lot of systemic racism, and access to home ownership is a little bit different for minorities than it is for the white American individual. And this is all obviously studies and truths is out there. You can research it yourself. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how you can manage your personal finances and build yourself your own net worth and your own wealth. And the only way you can control that is by controlling your personal finances. You can't really, you can't focus on what they're going to do to you to hold you back. Your only fight on this is to control your personal finances. Fight with your dollar. And that is one of the, it might sound kind of cliche and it sounds, oh yeah, it's not really going to happen. You're just part of the system. No, it's just, at the end of the day, we can talk all we want. They're not really going to listen. What they listen is how you do with your money, how you spend it, where you spend it, and how you invest it. A quick story for me is, once you learn the power of how you can invest and how the potential growth your money has, every dollar you have, you start thinking about it as a potential investment for yourself, for your future. So when I was younger, I know for me, because I didn't have the parents, I would say, and the knowledge of the power of compounding interest, of investing, asset wise. This stock market thing and all these apps, Robinhood, these things really didn't exist when I was in college. Back in the 2004 to 2007 or eight, we didn't have access to so much information as we have it now, right? You talk about back in the beginning of stages of, I'm talking about MySpace. I'm talking about anybody that remembers Me Hint, and anybody that remembers the beginning stages. I'm talking about the beginning stages of Facebook. It wasn't even like what it is now. So this was a long time ago, right? And not having the knowledge and education, we were just going based upon our peers, what we had around us, who we hanged out with, my upbringing, my family members. So now that we have this platforms and we have platforms talking about our own finances and people educating us on assets, investing, liabilities, all these things, there's kind of no excuse for us to kind of not educate ourselves. So first and foremost, educating yourself is the only way you're going to combat any type of oppression, or any type of system that we know is out there. Once you learn is out there, you move differently. You understand, and you kind of have to kind of educate yourself and really understand how it works and why it works the way it works. Once you understand that, then you can do what you got to do, right? So one of that aspects of being where I'm at right now, I'm very super grateful, because I know that because of technology, it gives a lot more voices to those that are oppressed and those that are not really heard. So hence why we're on YouTube and we're describing and talking about personal finances. So I really wanted to go back to when I was younger. My thing was, I was working 2 jobs, minimum wage jobs, and I wasn't working hard because I really wanted to invest and strategize and hopefully retire. My thing was, how can I make my car, my old hoopty, nicer? So I bought the system, the decked out, the wheels, changed the exhaust system. Most likely, whatever I put into that car was probably worth more than what the car was worth itself. The car was probably worth $1,500, and I probably put another $1,500 to $2,000, maybe $3,000 in that car. And had I been a little bit more probably educated from my parents, or had a little bit more knowledge of the power of compound interest, investing, and really working with what I had at that moment, because I didn't have bills, right? I was living with my mom, so my mom was paying everything. I just was there making money for myself to support myself, with food for college, gas, and obviously maintenance of the car. So these are the things that you look at. So my whole priority was just putting money into that car. At no time and no consideration did I know that car it was not an asset. It was a liability. And that was not going to provide me with any type of future growth. So at that moment, I did what I thought was the best at that time. So now, fast forward now, I probably wouldn't do that again. You get tempted. I love beautiful cars. I love nice cars. But you get tempted, but that what you did there kind of put you in a little bit more of a delayed start to investing. So all my young Gen Zers out there, the sooner you start, the better. And it could start with a little bit as $50 a week to maybe $100 a month, depending on your salary and how much you're making. But just start. The sooner you start, the longer you hold it. When you're in your 30s or mid 30s, you're gonna have a big difference as opposed to somebody that starts in their 30s, because you had a head start. You started younger. But I really wanted to share how depending where you grew up, where were you born, the cultures you're around, really affect our unfortunately our wealth. And it's up to us to kind of educate ourselves. Like I said, I want to be repetitive, but educate yourself and be smart with your personal finances. And this is the reason why I make it a big deal, because, like I said, according to the stats, according to these researchers, our net worth are a tenth of what the normal American is. So it's a little bit more. We just have to work harder. Fortunately, and that's fine. But understand that right? Don't think that 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 you are, just because somebody might buy a $20,000 car, you know, you have to go and buy one because you guys are in the same position. Understand that they might be in a totally different position um, than you might be, and really focus on just, you know, building for the long term. Uh, and if you're a parent like myself, I really want my kids to just be a little bit more educated. And then the day, kids are gonna do what they're gonna do, right? I know my mom would have told me, "Hey, don't worry about it. Invest it. Don't put it in your car." I probably would have put it in my car. She was probably right. But when you see your parents move a certain way, and you see them when you come to college, you know, they help you with your college payments, or they buy you your first home, not buy you, but they help you with your first home. These financial aids seem like very small, right? They seem like, oh, the parents are so nice, they're so caring, but they're actually helping their kids financially and helping them continue with their generational wealth, because now the kids can use that money that otherwise would have had to come up with themselves to continue feeding the investment wealth that they have and continue to build up their their wealth assets. So if that doesn't really give you kind of a really awakening of how, you know, how important it is to start investing in something, any type of assets that you think, you know, do you have to do your research, do your due diligence, obviously, research your investments, but saving is not gonna be the only option either. Like, I'm not saying savings is not a good idea, but savings is temporary, right? Investing is for the long run. You want to save for temporary situation. Once you have your emergency fund, obviously, and your emergency fund is covered for, then after that is most of the things you're gonna save is probably for some type of big purchase. Maybe it's a vehicle, maybe it's a home. But after that is all investing, right? You want to invest in the long run, because with time, that's how you build your net worth, and you're able to be a little bit more, I would say, diligent for your options in the future. Unfortunately, they say that our salary gets bigger as we get older. So if you're making a certain amount now, imagine if you keep on adding because your salary gets bigger. But besides the point, I know I'm getting a little bit tied off. I just really wanted to bring up the point that minority groups, we have to work harder. We have to be a little more smarter. We have to be a little more diligent with our personal finances. And the reason why I was so passionate about to make videos about this, because I just feel that it's a bigger than what we think it is. It's a lot more of a bigger cause. It's a lot more of a bigger effect it has in our lives and our generations that come after us, especially the millennials. Right now, they say the millennials, for us to basically retire, we have to retire. We have to work. It's going to be most millennials right now are not looking good as far as retirement age of 65. To retire on whatever we invested in. 401ks are not doing great, and with inflation and with all that, that's, you know, all that things that are kind of hitting the economies. If we, the millennials, don't really start saving more and investing more, we're not gonna be able to retire at 65. We're gonna have to keep on working until we're probably in the late 70s. And I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of individuals that are in the 70s working, and they are not the happiest campers. And you know, it's something that's taxing because you're a lot older. But we have to be a little more diligent, be a little more smarter. But if you're watching this video, you already are smarter, you already are diligent, you're already one step ahead. So I don't have to really remind you, but just think about that. You know, the average right now, and I'm saying minorities, but the average African American family has 150K of net worth, and the average white American has average of 900K net worth. All other things being equal: age, profession, and family size. So now we know that the wealth gap is there, and it's just up to us to start working a little bit more diligent, a little bit more harder, and hopefully this video reminds you that everything that we do, every single step, every single dollar you use, how you use it, how you invest it, matters in the long run. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.